Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and yes, I know it has been forever, you can boo me all you want, I'm accepting it, I know it's my fault, I'm sorry. I'm back with another Animal Crossing video today though. Like, subscribe, comment, all that shit I said before, let's get into it. Today, when I loaded up my game, Isabelle told me that Zell had moved into my island, which I was so excited for. I have had this guy for 3 islands in a row now. I fucking love him. And honestly, other than that, for the first 5 minutes of this recording, I just ran around aimlessly. I genuinely had no idea what I was doing. Eventually, I did do something productive in the form of watering all my flowers. After that, I gathered some shells and my fossils. And then I also hit some rocks to try and keep on top of my resources. I visited the shop to gather some decorations for my house because this is something I'm always lacking in. Like, last time my house was decorated by a race car bed and an IV drip. So this time, I'm going to try a little bit harder to decorate. So I grabbed some fragrance sticks and an indoor plant to spruce the place up a bit. When I left the shop, I ran past the plaza and saw that Mabel was there, and I don't think I've actually seen her before, so I checked out what she had. And honestly, it was a whole lot of nothing, but I got myself some new shoes, a snorkel, and a denim jacket. I then headed back to my house to try and liven the place up a bit because my room is so massive and so empty. So I put down my items and it looked slightly better. I decided I was going to go to a Nookmaz Island today and villager hunt because I had an open plot. However, that wasn't the only reason I was going. There were a couple of bugs that only spawn on tree stumps, and I don't really feel like destroying my entire island for them, so I'll just destroy a different one instead. I scalped the island to leave just the tree stumps, and it wasn't long before the first beetle I needed, the jewel beetle, spawned. After about 5 minutes, the Rosalia Batesi beetle spawned, which meant I could gather all the resources and go home. I mean, Biff was on the island too, but no one gives a fuck about him. After I got back, I donated everything I caught and set sail for another island. Disappointingly, Stu was there, so I fucked right off, back home, and tried again. And it was Antonio. So I tried again, and this time I got incredibly lucky because I got Whitney, and oh my god, I am so excited to have her on my island. I fucking love her. And before I left, I managed to catch myself a rainbow stag. God, this day just keeps getting better and better. I gathered all the resources once again from the island and headed home for the final time. I planted some newly acquired coconuts along my beaches and sold all the remaining fruit I gathered, and holy fucking shit, who knew fruit would sell for so much? After making absolute bank, I managed to pay off my house loan, and after that, I called it a night on what I thought had been a very successful evening. Today, I opened my game and Isabelle had the most fire boppers on her head, meaning one thing. It's got to be the firework display. Now, I love the firework display, but I was playing a bit too early in the day to appreciate it, and I would unfortunately miss this one. She also told me Buzz was moving into my island today, which I was super happy about because I love Buzz. I collected some fossils and some shells, and honestly, if you were expecting me to start my day with anything else, you're a fool. I got my first tulip variant, which was a pink tulip. However, my shovel then immediately broke, so swings and roundabouts, I guess. I went and bought a new one, and while I was in there, I saw this yellow fern I wanted for my house. I went and picked that up. I then went and donated all my fossils to Blathers, and then I went fishing in the pond, and I had a fucking fight with this fish, let me tell you. It was worth it in the end though because it was a Ranchu goldfish, which is a new fish I needed. I placed my duplicate fossils around my island because I know they're good for bringing up island image. And I spoke to Tom Nook about selling some more land for a house plot, which I placed around here. And then I went villager hunting. Now, I have been incredibly lucky villager hunting so far, and I'm waiting for the day that I get some bad luck. But that day is not today, bitches. I got Apollo on my first island. Let's fucking go. Mate, I cannot tell you how happy I am with this because I fucking love Apollo. Like, he is the GOAT. Bro was on the main cover of the game. After I'd spoken to him and invited him to my island, I spent some time on the island catching some stuff, and I managed to get myself a new rainbow fish and a banded dragonfly, which I was actually really happy with because I normally really struggle with them. I then collected all the fruit off the island and then went back home. I sold all my random shit to Tom Nook, and then I hunted for manila clams for a little bit. I went back home to craft the clams into bait, and then I saw this balloon flying overhead, and I shot it down, and it had 30,000 bells in it, and I thought, Jesus Christ, how strong was that balloon to manage to fly with 30,000 bells in it? I shot down another balloon later on, but unfortunately this one didn't have 3,000 bells in it. It was just some shitty underwater flooring. I then did some ocean fishing and went for this fish thinking, it's probably just a sea bass. They're always sea bass. I don't care. No, it was not a sea bass. It was, in fact, a fucking Napoleon fish. I did not see that coming. I then used some fish bait at the pier and caught myself a ribbon eel. I then just ran around my island doing some more fishing and caught absolutely nothing new until I caught this. So fast. That was so fucking fast. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, mate. And you know what? In my mind, that was a pretty solid end to the stream. The This morning, Isabel informed me that Whitney had moved to my island, and I cannot wait to see that diva on the daily. Sahara absolutely ambushed me the second I stepped out of my house this morning, so I decided to buy a mysterious wallpaper from her. I then time traveled back a day to Sunday. To buy some turnips from Daisy May for the first time, and I bought myself a shit ton of turnips. And if you don't know, turnips are the best way to make money in this game if you know how to play the market right. Every day the turnips will have a different price morning and afternoon, and it's all about knowing the best time to sell. Luckily for me, I use Turnip Profit, which does all the calculations for you and tell you which pattern you're going to get and how much roughly they're going to sell for. Because this was my first time buying it, it's always guaranteed you'll make profit through a small spike pattern, so I wasn't too worried about putting all my money into them. I then time traveled back to the day it actually was, which was a Monday, but I went to the AM first so I could check the turnip price, which was 76, and then I time traveled back to the actual time so I could play the day normally. A little bit complicated, I know, but trust me, it's all worth it. When I got back to my normal time, I was greeted by Flora giving me this ball with strong vibes. Sure, whatever you say, Flora. I then went to get my island evaluated. I was expecting 2 stars, don't get me wrong, I was not expecting 3. I just didn't expect Isabel to say that I needed to decorate more, but my island was cluttered, so I needed to decorate less. Literally, what does that mean? What do I do with this information? So I picked up some of the items that were cluttering the island and sold them for some money. I then chopped down some of my non-fruit trees because what's the point in having trees if they aren't useful and bring me fruit and money? Before replanting all my trees with fruit saplings, I finally discovered what that mystery wallpaper was that I bought earlier, and it was this white chocolate wallpaper, and honestly, I'm kind of here for it. I kind of love it. I then started my journey to replacing most of my trees I just cut down with fruit saplings, and this took me honestly quite a while. I planted a combination of apple and peach trees as these are the only 2 fruit that I have access of as of right now. I then took a bit of a break to water my flowers, and I ran into Celia, who was talking to me about clammy laundry or something. Honestly, I don't really know, I wasn't paying attention, but I learned a fearful reaction from her, so I then got back to deforesting and reforesting my entire island. Midway through this, I got back-to-back stung by wasps, which I think is really fucking unfortunate. After I'd replanted everything, I went to collect all the fruit from my trees when I ran into Dom, and he had some really fucking good news for me. He wanted to leave the island. I was so fucking happy to get rid of him, and this meant I could villager hunt for literally anyone better than Dom. I was so excited. I then finished off the day with some diving, and I managed to catch a couple new things like the abalone, flatworm, and the slate pencil urchin, which I was pretty happy with. I sold the rest of the sea creatures I caught, and then decided to end the day by checking my island rating again. Now, earlier Isabel told me my island was too cluttered, and this is what she had to say this time. Stuff before, so fuck off. Bro, I literally... Oh my god. I'm gonna lose my mind. You told me I had too much stuff earlier and how I got enough stuff. I'm gonna lose it. I'm actually gonna fucking lose it. Well, now it's not decorated well enough. What do you want from me, Isabel? What do you want from me? On that very, very sour note, I decided to call it a day. I opened my game to Flora once again giving me something absolutely useless in the form of a mossy garden rock recipe. When is she gonna learn that I don't give a fuck? I spent the start of my day trying to talk to all my villagers because that's something I always forget to do, and it's actually quite important, and that's when I ran into Cousteau. Now, you're probably thinking, I don't remember Cousteau being on your island. And that's when I say, honestly, I don't remember when he moved in. I've scoured through the footage. I cannot find where or when Cousteau moved onto the island, but he was at the campsite the other day and he replaced Dom, and this has to be one of the first days, if not the first day he's on the island, I swear. If I find the footage, I'll add it in here, but yeah, sorry about that one, guys. Moving swiftly on, I then went to go dig up some fossils around my island and some shells from the beaches. I also saw that Leaf was back on my island today, which means I get to go ransack his stall once again. Today, he had roses, which are so important because along with mums, they have the hardest variants of flowers to breed. So buying a lot of these and getting them started sooner rather than later is essential. I bought between 5 and 10 of all the roses I needed and planted them on top of this cliff. I then spent some time collecting all the fruit from the trees I planted a few days ago. And honestly, part of me is like, yay, money. And the other half of me is like, oh no, now it takes 15 minutes to harvest all my fruit, but it is worth it for the dollar. God, I hate myself. That was really cringe. I then spoke to Tom Nook about selling some more land for another villager to move in because honestly, I just wanted to villager hunt. I placed the harvest plot down here and headed to my first island. Now, I have been incredibly lucky with villager hunts since I started this island, and ladies and gentlemen, today is the day my luck finally ran out. Because I got miss after miss after miss. So I went back and did some Nook Mars Plus goals for some more miles, like planting produce, like potatoes, and I hunted for more manila clams. Mate, I even did group stretching for one final chance at a good villager. Among all this, I managed to catch myself a Goliath beetle, which was pretty neat. Oh, let's go. Let's fucking go. Eventually, I'd done it. I'd grinded for enough Nook Miles for one final ticket, and I was really holding out hope here. And I got to my island, and my villager was Savannah. I was devastated because as well, what I haven't mentioned yet is that one of my islands towards the end, I ran into an incredibly cute villager, Olive, but I was an idiot. As you know, I want to get all the personality types for the emotes, and I didn't realize that I already had them all on my island, so I saw Olive and went, oh, I've already got her personality type, I'll leave her. Little did I know, I already fucking had them all. I was devastated, so I went back to my island in a fit of rage, and I decided to do something crazy and drastic, and I built an incline. Crazy stuff, I know. I paid that off in full, so it'd be ready for the next day, and I headed to bed. When I opened my game today, Isabelle informed me that red was on my island, so I headed straight there to buy a painting. I settled on buying myself a moody painting to add to the collection. Today was quite a slow one, and I just did some general housekeeping for the island, like collecting shells, talking to villagers, collecting fossils, watering flowers, you know, the basic stuff, nothing too exciting. I then went to go check on the house plot after the shit show that was yesterday's villager hunt, and it was Bangle. Now, if you don't know Bangle, this is what she looks like, and honestly, she's not too bad, she's just not a bit of me. She's not the ugliest, but she could be cuter. I ran into Phoebe, and she taught me how to laugh, and honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about the fact I couldn't laugh before this, but moving on. I followed this fucking parcel all the way down the river, only to get pissed off that it wasn't over any land and just shot it into the water out of frustration. I then did one of my absolute favourite things in Animal Crossing during summer, and I ran up and down the same stretches of beach looking for rare bugs. And you might think I'm being sarcastic, but I genuinely love this. I could do this for hours on end, and I used to all the time. I managed to catch myself a horned atlas before I completely changed my mind and did one of my least favourite things in the game, shaking trees for items. Now, I hate this just as much as the next person, but unfortunately, this is one of those shit tasks I have to do for Nook Mile stamps. Eventually, I managed to shake a smoker out of a tree, and honestly, I don't know how the fuck that fit in there, but that is not my problem. I then treated myself after doing this shitty task by running up and down the same beaches again. Genuinely, not sarcasm, again, I fucking love this. I managed to catch myself a Cyclomatus stag before running into Cousteau, who had a thought bubble, and I was terrified he wanted to leave, but no, he just wanted to give me these fire-ass goggles. Boom. I also shot down this balloon while scouring the beaches, and I was blessed because it gave me a race car bed. God, I fucking love this race car bed. I wish it was socially acceptable to have a race car bed at 58, but unfortunately, it's not. I also finally caught a hermit crab, and I genuinely can't believe it took me this long to catch one. I put my new race car bed down in my house, and it looks fire. I did a little bit of diving before finishing off for the day, and I caught myself a gazami crab, a giant isopod, which looks even grosser than I imagined, and a tiger prawn. Honestly, a much more successful dive than I imagined. I then did my daily stretches, and I called it a night. Today was a Sunday, so I travelled back in time a few hours in the day to buy some turnips for 100 bells each. I then dropped a casual 100k on them and headed back to the normal time of day. Because I was playing at night time, I got to enjoy the firework display, which is one of my favourite events in all of Animal Crossing. Unfortunately, I couldn't stand and watch the fireworks all night, and I actually had to get on with some tasks like collecting my fossils, but once that was done, I spoke to Isabelle to collect my boppers, which is one of my favourite pieces of clothing in the game. And honestly, as much as I love my weird French hat, I love the boppers so much. I think that they're going to be part of the permanent outfit for now. I then watered my flowers and shook my trees for an item, and I was much luckier than last time. I got my item within the first few trees, and it was a Mr. Flamingo, and there is only one person who needs this in front of their house, and it's Flora. Come on, I just found Flora husband in a tree. I am a matchmaker. I then started the low-key grueling task of collecting all my fruit, but honestly, I have no one to blame but myself for this. I then finally broke this rock next to my house because it's been pissing me off for a long time. I collected all the shells off my beach, and then I closed the day out with looking for rare bugs. I managed to catch myself a horned elephant on this palm tree. I then decided to finally place some feathers around my house. I was going to wait until I moved, but I wanted the Nook Miles for us, so I'm doing it now. And that was pretty much where I left it for the day. It was a short one, but not every day can be the most productive day that you have. Today when I started on my game, I had a very important task to do. And that is, of course, biting the bullet and finally speaking to Harv. And that is because I actually didn't realize how important Harv was because I've been avoiding him on every single island I've ever had. But no, it turns out he's actually incredibly important. That's because Harv's island in this game unlocks co-ops, which basically means NPCs like Leaf, Red, Kix, people like that get their own permanent stores on Harv's island, which is actually incredibly useful for me because instead of waiting for Red to come once a week, he is there permanently. After I'd done that, I ran into Cousteau, who taught me how to be distressed. Thanks, Cousteau. Arsehole. I then did my daily tasks like running around looking for fossils, and then watering my flowers, and then collecting my shells. And I know you're probably sick of hearing about this, but I do it every day, and I'm gonna tell you about it every day. I managed to catch myself a Horned Hercules, which is another rare bug for the season, ticked off the list, and maybe not even a minute later, I managed to catch a golden stag, which I'm very happy about. I then shot down this balloon which contains some explorer shorts, and I put them on, and I will not be taking them off. I spoke to Sahara and bought myself a mysterious flooring, which was all of my bells gone, but in my mind, it was a necessary purchase. It ended up being this mossy garden flooring, which I actually kind of fuck with. I did a big fishing session today because I fished for like an hour straight, and I caught a lot. I got a soft-shelled turtle, a red snapper, a saw shark, a barrel eye, a snapping turtle, and a hammerhead shark. I was on a fucking roll today. I then took some time to collect some manila clams because, I mean, come on, that fish bait won't craft itself. I then shot down my 4th balloon of the day at the expense of my slingshot, all for this fucking shitty wardrobe. But it's okay because the next thing I did was catch a fucking whale shark. My luck today was crazy. I then did a couple of trips between my house and the beaches to craft some sets of fish bait, and I'm going to save them for a different day. After a very successful day, I decided to call it a night. I thought I'd start today slightly differently by doing a little recap of my Critterpedia just to keep you guys updated. So these are the bugs that I've got. My fish. And my sea creatures. In total, I have 118 out of 200, meaning I am 59% of the way through, and honestly, I was really happy with that. I won't be shocked if the Critterpedia was the first thing I completed out of all of my goals. After that, I went to the shop and purchased myself a stove, which unlocks cooking recipes for me, which is fun, and I can't wait to cook absolutely none of them. I then had a little bit of a wander around my island, and I ran into Flick for the first time, and honestly, I really like Flick. I think his vibes are so great. If you don't know who Flick is, he's that weird lizard guy. He comes to your island about once a week, and he will buy bugs off you for an increased price, and he offers bug models, which I might get round to at a later time. I went and watered my flowers and looked for fossils, you know, the usual. I then went back to my house because I'd done a bit of turnip selling between streams and recordings, but it was a decreasing pattern, and I didn't bother adding it because who wants to see me lose money? No one. No one wants to see that. Anyways, I grabbed 10 turnips I didn't stab to leave outside my house to go rotten to try and catch a fly and an ant. I then did something drastic. I dropped 8,000 nook miles on some more pocket storage and 2,000 more on some reactions. God, I hope no one moves out soon because I do not have the nook miles to villager hunt right now. While I was in resident services, I checked my island rating hoping Isabel would have some better news for me this time, but alas, I'm still in a 2-star island. So I went to my storage and picked out a bunch of random shit to put down in hopes it would make me a 3-star island, and I literally threw this shit down everywhere. And I mean everywhere. And it finally worked. I was finally at a 3-star island. And I will admit this took me longer than expected, but it's fine. We move. As expected, Tom Nook and Isabel lost their shit. Tom Nook gave KK Slider a ring, and KK was like, yeah, sure, pal, I'll come over tomorrow. So that's something I'm very much looking forward to. I left resident services and ran into Bangle, who wanted to give me a velvet stool. So I said, obviously I don't want this, but she gave it to me anyways. I then collected all the fruit on my island for about 20 minutes straight. I then did this really annoying task of picking up this recipe that had been sat on my beach for like 2 weeks. And honestly, I don't know why I put it off for so long, but now it's done. I'm like relieved that it's not there pissing me off every day. I then shook my tree for my item and I did my group stretching, and honestly I cannot wait until these tasks are done because I am sick of them. I grabbed the fish bait I made the other day and locked myself in next to the pond to try and catch some new fish, and I managed to get myself a goldfish and a Popeye goldfish after about 30 fish bait, which felt like a bit of a waste, but it's what you gotta do sometimes. I then did a bit of ocean fishing and caught myself a surgeonfish, which is a really common fish, and I'm so surprised I haven't caught one already. After finally hitting 3 stars today, I didn't really do much else after that, so I kind of just called it a day. Today's the day. KK Slider is here. Let's go. So obviously I go to his concert in the square and the credits roll. Right, series over. Cool. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Nah, I'm just kidding. But it does make you feel like this is the end of the game. They make it seem like there's almost nothing to do after this, which simply isn't true. You can get an island up to 5 stars, you unlock Captain's Island servers, you unlock terraforming, you can literally transform your island. And they make it seem like this is the end of the game. That is my biggest pet peeve with the game, kind of. And if you don't know this series very well, you're going to assume this is the end and you'll miss out on all this fun stuff. And honestly, I just wish they saved this whole credit rolling sequence for a bit later on in the game. Because yes, it did take me several recording and streaming sessions to do this, but it is incredibly easy. And if I did have a bunch of other goals I wanted to go for, I would have done this so much earlier. Anyways, enough of my ranting, back to the game. After the concert, Tom Nook comes to my house and told me KK Slider would be on my island every Saturday evening from now on, which is great. I can't wait to never go to... Oh, never mind. Never mind. He also tells me about the Island Designer app, which is going to be very useful for me, because going forward, this lets you place custom paths and create and destroy cliffs and rivers. So if there's anything on my island I want to change layout-wise, now I can. I'm going to try and avoid terraforming too much because last time I flattened my island and I realized I did not have any creativity to rebuild it, so I'm going to try and keep the landscape as natural as possible. And if I do make any changes, they're only going to be small changes at a time. After I've been given this new information, I can start going about my day as normal. However, we have just hit a big milestone in this game, hitting 3 stars, and I think it's time for a bit of a change. As of right now, I've been telling you guys every time I water a flower or dig up a fossil and things like that, but from now on, I think I'll try and keep that to a minimum. Flower breeding is a slow process, and so we'll be collecting every single fossil, so I just think I'll tell you guys if I get a new flower or dig up a new fossil, just to maybe make things seem a little bit less repetitive for you guys, although it won't get any less repetitive for me. Anyways, now to actually get on with my day. I was just wandering around my island and I ran into Phoebe and she told me the cold shore reaction, so that's ticked one more off my list, and I managed to donate a couple new fossils to the museum. I took 20 fish bait to the pier and managed to catch myself a moray eel, and on the way back to my house to get more fish bait, I managed to catch myself a purple emperor. I grabbed the rest of my bait and headed to the pond because the last pond fish I needed for the season was the giant snakehead, and I really wanted to catch it today. And after about 30 fish bait, I finally caught it, and I was so excited. There's a carp.
Yes! Yes! And finally!
I decided to end the day by putting my house in for an upgrade, which adds a new room to the back of the house, and I already know what I'm going to put in there, but you guys will find out in due time. Today, I decided it was time for a change. I didn't start my day by collecting fossils or shells. I was going to start terraforming my island. So I opened the Designer app and I completely forgot that it only came with a path kit at the start and I had to buy cliffs and riverscaping separately. So I ran to the Nook stop to buy a cliffscaping permit, and I really would have liked to buy the waterscaping permit too, but unfortunately they are 6k Nook miles each. And I am Nook miles broke after buying the cliff permit, so I'll have to save up for that one. I started clearing out the area I wanted to build in and then got started. Now, terraforming is a grueling task because this shit is slow. Like, it actually takes fucking forever. Like, genuinely, you have to build one square at a time and you have to make sure it all looks natural. But it is worth it in the end because it looks good and makes everything easier. What I actually ended up doing today was connecting 2 parts of the upper level so I can just run across the whole thing rather than laddering up and down all the time. So that will make my life so much easier. And honestly, after I terraformed, I was bored of this game for the day. I literally just turned it off. I was so sick of seeing this game today. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did enjoy, please feel free to like and subscribe. Anything I said at the beginning. And again, I am sorry I was gone so long. I mean, like I said, it was crazy. My house fucking flooded, okay? It was a mental few months, hence why you're seeing summer Animal Crossing content in December or January. I don't know when this is going to go up, but yeah, sorry I was gone so long. I promise I won't be gone for as long next time. But anyway, bye.